Guru Nation, how's it going? Really quick video for you guys. I'm in between going to different clients right now here in Southern California, and the only place I can make a video that's like clear enough without having to wear a mask is in my car, apparently. So right now I'm answering a viewer question on a topic that I haven't done before, but I know I've talked about it before, but it's never been its own video. So for today, I'm gonna talk about how you can write progress notes as a study coordinator or as a PI or as a sub-I or any research staff for that matter, how you can write a progress note, otherwise known as a narrative, to include in your source documents. Because as you know, if it's not documented, meaning written down somehow or documented in the days of electronic source, it didn't happen. So I'm not talking about just note to files, I'm talking about progress notes. A progress note is required typically, as per good clinical practice, at every visit. Every patient visit should have a PI or sub-I progress note to show MD oversight, and it should also have a coordinator progress note. The coordinator progress note is not always required, but I highly recommend it because it makes the CRA's life a lot easier. So let's get the first one out of the way, the clinician's progress notes, whether it's the PI or the sub-I, the clinic or the nurse practitioner, whomever it may be, to have some documentation of clinical oversight, either as an MD or a nurse practitioner, again, PI or sub-I. That's fairly simple enough, okay? These people, these individuals, do these things in their regular work anyways, outside of research. So in their private practice or in the hospital or in the clinic or wherever they work, they probably use electronic medical records to document what happened with that patient on that particular visit. So the same exact thing is going to be done in a clinical research study. The clinician's going to write down or document when the patient came in, what date, what they said, did they complain of anything, did the clinician tell them anything, did they check any lab results for them, how are they doing basically as far as their study, how are they doing, how are they feeling as far as the study, how are they progressing, any AEs, obviously any SAEs, just overall narrative. It could be like a paragraph, how the patient's doing. This is typically done, like I said, anyways in the electronic medical records. So if it's being done as part of standard of treatment for that particular patient, even just adding a sentence about research in that standard of treatment progress note is acceptable, as long as it's the same visit date, right? If the patient comes in, let's say for their standard of treatment on December 14th, and they happen to have their research visit on December 14th, then having that progress note written just one time by the clinician and including a sentence or two about research is good enough. If it's a separate visit, okay, meaning they do their standard of care on December 14th, but they actually come in for research on December 15th, now the question becomes, does that visit on December 14th, can that also count as progress notes? And the answer is still yes, because anything that the patient told the PI or the clinician at that visit, even though it wasn't a research visit, anything they told them is still pertinent to the study, meaning did they complain of any adverse events or just overall how they're progressing, right? So all that is still relevant data. That should be printed out as a certified copy, right? So we're going to actually do a video on certified copies. But basically, if you have EMRs, you print it. Either you give the CRA access to the EMRs, or you print a certified copy, meaning somebody prints it, what's pertinent to the study, and then the clinician or the PI signs and dates it to certify that it's authentic EMR. So that's the clinician progress note, very simple. The study coordinator one, all right, this is where you can make your CRA's life easy, because oftentimes the clinicians, they don't necessarily write their progress notes with the protocol in mind. Okay, they write their progress notes as a clinician, as they should, with patient safety in mind. So your job as a study coordinator is to write your own version, your own narrative of the visit, but with the protocol in mind to make the CRA's job easier. So for example, if the patient came in and they met with the PI, and the PI saw them and the patient said they had a headache, you should write in that progress note, patient came and met with the PI, patient complained to PI of a headache, it's documented in the PI's progress notes. Let's say there's been an amendment to the informed consent, okay, and the patient had to re-sign that informed consent. You would also put that in there. You would put in your own narrative, in your progress note, patient also signed updated amendment for informed consent. And then you would also put in when their next scheduled appointment was, and you would try to put as many things as was done for the study on that date, just to make the CRA's life easier. It doesn't have to be complicated. It could be as simple as a paragraph. You could either write it down on pen and paper in the subject source documents, or you can type it out and print it out on a company letterhead, or you can add your own entry maybe to the electronic medical records, or some sites are using eSource. It all depends on your SOP. Sometimes it's an email from the coordinator to the PI or the sub-I explaining what the patient told them. Sometimes it's as simple as an email, and then you print out that email, and that's your source document, that's your progress note there. So if it's not documented, it never happened. This stuff is very important. As a monitor, I don't see enough of this. I see a lot of the clinician progress notes, especially when it comes to oncology studies. I don't see enough coordinator progress notes confirming either confirming what the PI did with the patient or the clinician did with the patient, or just giving me more specifics about what exactly happened at that visit. So me as a CRA, I could tell, okay, is this compliant with the protocol? What exactly happened? So I don't have to go be a detective. I can just read it and confirm that that's the case. So that's how to write a narrative, how to write a progress note. Hopefully it's helpful. Talk to you soon.